Well, hello there. So I'm going to go over this next stage, colliding with the walls. Here we're going to do some collision checking. We're going to look to see when our ship, if it collides with the top wall, we're going to get a lose screen. And if it collides with the bottom wall, we're going to get a lose screen that'll come up. So to make that happen, we're going to need some new variables. So the first new variable we're going to have here is called our HUD color. And pardon me. Please go over to Color Hex and pick a color. My background is kind of tannish, got a blue obstacle, a red and blue ship. Thinking about those colors that I have, what might contrast with that nicely. You try one of these dodecagon, like maybe even this one right here. Yeah, I think even that color right there might do for me. Copy that. All right, so I got myself a HUD color selected. We're going to need two ship variables here. This first one is going to be called vehicle width. And we're going to set it equal to 50. And the second one is going to be called vehicle height, and we're going to set that equal to 25. These are going to be useful variables later because we're going to be using vehicle width and vehicle height in collision checking. It relates to that, and so we need to be able to have access to those numbers so that if we change our vehicle width or we change our vehicle height, everywhere we're using that variable, that change will get through. And then the last variables we need here are some fonts and a text object. We're going to need a variable called my large font, which I'm going to set equal to 45 point Comic Sans MS. I'm also going to make a variable called my medium font, which I'll set equal to 30 point, again, Comic Sans MS. And lastly, I'm going to need my lose text. It's going to be a text object, so it's going to be a new text, and the text will be Smashola. And then over here on the end, a Terminator. After you get your variables typed, do hit your run button to make sure that you didn't make any mistakes or syntax errors while you were typing your variable names. And if you did, go back and fix that. Now that we got our variables in here, we need to figure out when we've either hit the top wall or hit the bottom wall. And I'm kind of do this in a development kind of way. At the very end of our code, there's a function called hit wall. And at first, we're going to add code here, and nothing's going to seem to happen, but it will. So in hit wall, we're going to create two local Boolean variables. First one's going to be called hit top, and it's going to be equal actually to a Boolean expression. If vehicle.getY tries to be less than 0, if that's true, I will know that my vehicle's Y position has tried to be a negative number. And if my vehicle's Y position has tried to be a negative number, my vehicle is going off the top of the screen. Likewise, we're going to have a variable called hit bottom. And again, it's going to relate our vehicle's Y position to the screen height, but we have to subtract from that our vehicle height. Because the vehicle's position is set by its top left corner. So we need to take into account the height of the vehicle, subtract that from the screen height, and that's the Y value that will mean that we have the vehicle has struck the bottom of the screen. And then we want to return either of these variables, either hit top or hit bottom. And this is a return value. What that means is when this function does get called, it's going to send information back to wherever it got called from. It's going to send back the result. Was it true? Was it false? It's going to send them back, whether they were false, false, true, false, false, true, or true, true. Impossible to be true, too. You can't hit the top and hit the bottom at the same time. Now, where this function gets called actually is in the check collisions function. In the check collisions function, we're going to be calling the hit wall function. However, if we run this, we're going to see that, nothing's happening yet and we're not getting any hit on the wall. And that's because we need to add in the game loop. Right now, our game loop checks for clicking. It moves our vehicle. The game loop moves our obstacles. And also, we want to check for collisions. Remember, the game loop is called by the timer. The timer calls the game loop every 40 milliseconds, 25 times a second. The game loop gets called, and we're checking for clicking, moving the vehicle, moving the obstacles, and checking for collisions now. Now, this code is ready to work. And I want you guys to see something, and I want you to see something that happens. So I'm going to add a little debug code. And this is going to be a print ln statement, and it's going to be hit top equals plus hit top plus hit bottom equals plus hit bottom. And now everything's wired up to work. The game loop's going to call check collisions every frame. Check collisions is going to call the hit wall function in this if statement. And at the moment, it's not going to do anything, but it's going to call the hit wall function. The hit wall function is going to do its job and return back hit top and hit bottom. And if I make it so I can see my console window down here, when I run this while I'm flying, both hit top and hit bottom are false. But if I go off the top of the screen, now hit top is true. If I let my vehicle fall and go off the bottom of the screen, now hit bottom. Hit bottom is true because I've let it go off the bottom of the screen. It's an interesting thing to look at, and also it's an interesting use of debug code. I don't want to leave that running though, so I'm going to comment it out. Take out that debug code for the moment. Now, if I hit a wall, either the top or the bottom, I want to call the lose function. And that brings us to the lose function. If I call the lose function, we want to stop the timer from running the game loop. I can check this. If I hit the top, yep, everything freezes. The stop timer did its job. If I hit the bottom, everything freezes. The stop timer did its job. All I have left to do now is load the lose message to the screen, and that's going to be lose text dot set color to the HUD color, lose text dot set position to our screen width divided by 2, subtract lose text dot get width divided by 2. That's the X position that we're going to place our screen, our lose text at. And then we're going to have screen height, not screen height divided by 2. That's going to place it in the middle in Y. And we're going to add our lose text to the screen. Now, I hit my run button. Now, My ship hits the bottom of the screen, smashola. If we hit the top of the screen, smashola. But I forgot something. When I set up my lose text, I also wanted to make sure I used my large font. So when I did my lose text, I want to make sure I use my large font because I want this to stand out. Smashola. And if I hit the top, smashola. So that's going to wrap this stage up. We set up some new variables, a HUD color, a vehicle width and a vehicle height variable, which we've already used the vehicle height variable. We set up some fonts, and we set up a lose text. Those are all of our new global variables that can be used by any function in the game. And then we went down here and we set up the hit wall function. The hit wall function, it gets called right here. And this is an interesting example where a function call is in an if statement. But that's because that function that it calls is going to send something back. It's either going to send back true, or false or true, or true or false or false. Either way, it's going to send those Booleans back. If in any case we get a true, hit wall is going to call the lose function, which is going to stop the timer in the game and put the lose text on the screen. That's the summary. We'll see you in class. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And have a great 3-day weekend.